Welcome to part 2 in the series of ergonomics of drum kit setup. So if you haven't watched part 1, go ahead and do that. But today we're going to talk about some of the assumptions that I've made that allow me to draw the conclusions that I have about how to set up a drum kit efficiently. So if you don't agree with the assumptions, you're not going to agree with the conclusions. So we have to start there at the foremost. So technically speaking, ergonomics is the study of people's interaction with their work environment. And as a drummer, your work environment is the drum kit. The reason people care about ergonomics is because ergonomic design helps prevent repetitive stress injuries and musculoskeletal disorders. So I've talked to a lot of drummers about this, and a subset of them think that this is a ridiculous concept. It's just playing the drums. What does it really matter? Well, most drummers want to have a long career. They want to play the drums for life, and it's going to affect you over the long term, even if today you feel comfortable. This brings me to my first assumption. Comfortable is not the same as ergonomic. So a good portion of you are sitting right now at a desk watching this on YouTube, and you're probably sitting in a way that you find comfortable. But unless you look like the guy in this picture, then you're probably not sitting ergonomically. So they're definitely a different thing. You can be quite comfortable at your drums or at your desk and not be sitting ergonomically, not in a correct way that's going to prevent long-term stress. So comfortable is definitely not the same as ergonomic. They've known it in the business world for a long time. Drummers are just coming around to it recently. My next assumption is that spinal health is super important and that twisting, leaning back, or hunching are very bad for you. And this has been borne out in lots of studies about office desk sitting and lifting boxes and whatnot, but it applies for drummers as well. So if you look at this picture, which I think I'll go into detail a lot more about in maybe a later video, this guy is twisted way around to hit that last floor tom, and it's not good. My next assumption is that shoulder health is important for a drummer, and so reaching over your head a lot is actually not that great for your shoulders long term, especially repetitively. So look at this picture from the last video of Vinny Colaiuta, and you can see all of his cymbals are over his shoulder height, and a lot of them are over his head height. So that makes them hard to reach, and it's going to cause, suffering later. My next assumption is that wrist health is important, and overflexion or overextension are both really bad for you. So in this picture, I took it from another video that I have on snare drum height. I'm demonstrating a snare that is way too low. And similarly, if you have toms that are high and flat or cymbals that are high and flat and you're trying to hit the bell, you can extend your wrist in the wrong ways and it's not good for you. My final assumption is that knee health is important. And so placing your pedals, both your bass drum pedal and your hi-hat pedal or any other pedals you have, is going to affect your knee health. If you place your knees in a twisted position or a position where your ankles are inside or outside of the line of your femur, you are going to be damaging something, and that's not good for you. So I wanted to finally, at the end here, address some false pretenses or poor arguments against an ergonomic setup that a lot of drummers make when you point out to them something weird in their kit. So one thing that they always say is, my favorite drummers do it this way. And well, you're a different size, a different shape, and a different kind of drummer than your favorite drummer in most cases. So if they do it, it might be right for them. It might not be right for you. The next thing people always say is, I've done it this way forever and it's still working. And that may be true, but your perception of what's working and what's ergonomic may not line up with reality. Another thing people always say is, that's not what it looks like in the catalog, in the method book that I have, in the magazines that I read. And that's sort of irrelevant because they don't know what size you are, how you play, and who you are. So anyone else setting up a kit is not going to be right for you necessarily. And the final thing that I hear a lot is, what I'm used to is at least as good as, if not better than, what is technically correct because I'm used to it. And your playing may be a little awkward for a minute, but if you set up ergonomically, you'll be able to play pain-free for a lot longer. So that's a bad argument.